everyone, and welcome back to Craft Time. Today we're making a scene with leaves from the fall. So get out all your craft supplies and your toilet paper rolls, and let's get crafting. Let's take a look and see what we need for today's craft. So in front of me I have some pieces of paper. I also have a half of a file folder that I'm going to be using as my backing. I have 2 toilet paper rolls. I also have some pipe cleaner and some colored paper in autumn colors. So I have an orange, a yellow, and a tan, as well as a piece of paper that was used on my toilet paper roll that I'm thinking I'm going to be using as a painting tool for later. I have some sand, craft sand, and some orange paint. So now that we know what we need to do this craft, let's go ahead and get started. First, I want to take my white piece of paper, one of those sheets, and I just want to glue it onto my backing, my file folder. So if you don't have a file folder, you could use a piece of cardstock or a cereal box. We're just going to take our glue, like we would with other crafts. We're just going to totally fill up this page with glue so that it sticks really well. I'm going to start around the edges and then go on the inside until I'm really covered. And I go on in and I flip it, and then probably put it more in the middle to start so that I can flip it over. And as this already has glue on it, I can just flip it over again without having to cut it. And that works perfectly well and is super strong for what we need. Now I'm going to take my scissors and just go on in and cut away the excess on my file folder. Perfect, that works out really great. I'm going to recycle this piece, and there's our starting point. Now, I want to create trees, and I have 2 here. We're going to be making some stand-up trees. So, tree barks, tree trunks. I want to take my brown, and I want to take it and I want to cover my toilet paper roll so that it looks more like bark. I'm just going to go on in very simply and use my crayon to give it a little bit of color and a little bit of texture. Just like that, nothing too difficult. Spin it around and color in, like so. You could go all different directions to add some texture, because bark has various directions on it. So that looks really good and textured. Let's do the same thing to the other one. Just go on in, color it around, and then the other side. If you had different color browns, you could also do it like that to add more depth. But I like how this looks. I'm just going to do what I did before and just add a little bit of direction going the opposite way. Just like so. And that feels good. That looks really good, like bark. So now that we have that, we're going to grab our scissors. And watch me before you cut. So I'm going to take one in my hand, and I'm just going to cut a smidgen, like so. Do you see how big that is? It's not very big at all. And I'm just going to start going around about that much. Okay? Now take your time, and it might be a little bit difficult if you have smaller scissors. It might be harder to cut, but you are going to take your time and do the best you can. When I've gone all the way around on one side, I'm just going to take them and bend them up like so. You see that? So that when I lay it down, I'm able to glue or tape that area. Take our second one and do the same thing. Remember, we're taking a little bit and just cutting around the bottom. If you get them a little bit higher, that's okay. But for now, That feels good to me. So when I go all the way around, I see them, and I again just bend them up gently. I don't want to rip them off. I just want to bend them up so that I can position them like this and glue or tape them down. Now before I do, I want to take care of some of this. So I actually want to color this whole thing a bunch of different colors. The first layer I'm going to make is brown. So go ahead and take your brown crayon or your brown marker. I like crayons because of the way it looks on this paper. And let's just fill in this whole area. Now when you think of a forest or where trees are in the wilderness or in nature, dirt is on the ground. So that's great. Then I might go in and add a little bit of green to various places. Does it have to be everywhere? No, it doesn't. I can just kind of randomly add my green for layering. Then I might add a little bit of orange. There might be orange on the ground. Just go in there and add it. Wherever feels good to you is where I'm going to put it on. The next thing I'm going to do is prepare where I would like to place my trees. I'd like one here and one here. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab a glue, and I'm going to start putting glue on the bottoms of the sections that I folded over like so. And you see how it's a little bit globby? That's great. I want a little bit more. I want it to be a little bit thicker so I have a little bit more hold. Like so. I'm going to turn this around, and if it doesn't stick, what we're going to go on and do is stick it with tape. We're going to cover that all up so no one's even going to see it. So once we're done, I'm going to stick it down and hold it. So count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if it doesn't stick, we'll just go on in with tape. Now that we have stuck on our paper rolls, if they are stuck, wonderful. If they're not, I'm actually going to go in with a little bit of Scotch tape and just put some on a couple of the sections. I don't need to cover everything, but just to help it so that it can set. I want to put a few more pieces, and that way when we're working on it, it won't move on us. All right, I'm going to put another one just over here. And that should work just fine. I'll just pat it down. And if you need to add more tape later, go ahead and do that. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to move this out of the way just very gently. I'm going to move over and see what I have here. So I took a piece of paper, and I'd like you to do the same. I want to create some leaves. So this is an oak leaf. And I drew this oak leaf, and now what I'd like you to do is go ahead and draw your leaves, whatever you would like your tree to be. And just come on in and draw those leaves. And I'm going to draw a few of them. And they don't have to be perfect. They're just whatever feels good to you, your leaf. But we want to get a few so that we can then do the same on our colored paper. So here's one leaf. This one's going to be a little bit smaller. And just go in and draw an oak leaf. Or maybe you'll draw a maple leaf or a birch leaf. Maybe you have a favorite tree and that's the leaf that you're drawing. Or maybe you're making up a leaf. That's okay too. A make-believe. All right, let's go on in and let's trace what we've drawn with a darker marker. And let's do that for each of the leaves that we've drawn. There's one. Got another one here. We're going to draw the veins. Don't forget the veins of the leaf. And then here's my third one. Just like that. Nothing fancy, just what feels good to you. Let's go ahead and let's cut our 3 leaves out. So grab your scissors and very gently, watching your fingers, let's go around and cut out our leaves. Great job on the cutting of the leaves. Now what I want to do is I want to take the colored paper that I have and I want to do the same thing over here. So let's start with yellow. Let's take our yellow, let's look at our leaves, and let's make some more leaves. Let's make maybe 4 yellow leaves. Let's go ahead and do that now. So I'm just going to come up around here, very similarly, like so, and add my veins in the leaf. Very nice. I'm going to make a smaller one now. Just like that. Make another one even smaller. Just a little baby leaf. Very cute. Brilliant. Let's go and do the same thing with our orange and our cream colored leaves and then check back in a minute. I like how this looks. Now we're going to go in and we're just going to cut out each of our 3 colors. So we've got some yellow, we've got some orange, and we've got some tan. So take your scissors and very gently start cutting out your 3, 6, 9 leaves, and then check back as soon as you are finished. That looks great. I love how these turned out. So for the ones that we don't have color, let's just go on in. Let's grab an orange and let's color it in orange. Then we also have a yellow, so let's go on in and do one of them yellow. That looks really nice. I like that yellow color is so vibrant. And then I'm going to go in and do a cream color. If you have a cream color, or maybe you want to change it up and do another fall color like purple or brown. I happen to have a cream, so I'm going to color that in just like that. And that feels good to me. So the next thing I want to do is I want to bring over my forest setting, and I want to start getting ready to set this up. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our pipe cleaners, and I have a few of them. And what we're going to be doing is taking each side of the pipe cleaner and attaching one leaf. So for example, this one is yellow. I want to attach it right here. I'm going to take a little piece of tape, and I'm just going to very simply tape on to the back of my leaf. And I'm going to do that for all of them. So I'm going to choose a different color for the other side. I'm going to take it, take a little piece of tape, and tape that on like that. When it's done, I'm going to fold it and put it inside one of my tree and bend it so that it sits like a branch. And we're going to do this for all of our leaves until we've filled them all up. So go ahead and do that and check back in a minute. That is looking really adorable. I love how the leaves have come together in the tree. Now that I'm looking at it, I might want to add a few more leaves on the ground. But first, what I want to do, I have some paint in a bag. I'm going to open this paint and move everything else to the side so we don't make too much of a mess. Now, if you have an apron or a tray, now would be a really good time to have it. Maybe a towel for your fingers. I'm just going to open it up a smidgen enough so that I can get to it. The next thing I'm going to do is, remember this toilet paper roll? If you have tissue paper of any kind, you can also use that too. I'm going to squish it. Just squish it like that so that it's rough on that space. And what I was thinking is I'm just going to take a little bit scrunchy like that. And I just want to go around and add some color to the base of my forest. And I'm thinking this is sort of like when all the leaves are turning orange and they're falling onto the ground. And it doesn't have to be heavy. It can be very light, but you'll notice that because we're using scrunchy tissue paper, it leaves this sort of impression on the ground. It's really quite different and fun. I'm just going to keep going back in here and around my tree very lightly. I'm not even using that much paint, but just enough so that I'm able to make a really pretty impression, like so. And if you get too much on one section, you can move it around. And the motion that I'm moving is up and down, up and down. And this is where you can get really creative with how you're painting. Just like so. Now maybe I'm thinking if I want to squish it a little bit differently, I'll open this back up again, get a little bit of paint, and just put a little bit on each of my leaves too. And that way it sort of all comes together. A little bit of the same color that's on the ground is now on my leaves. And it doesn't even have to be that much, just a smidgen. I actually really like that. So that looks wonderful. The last thing I want to do is, while my paint is still wet, and again, if you have a tray that you can use, go ahead and use your tray. I'm going to take some of my craft sand in my hand. Look at how much I'm using, not even much at all. I'm going to take a smidgen and I'm just going to put it on top of my wet paint. Just like the ground is textured, we want to make our forest floor textured. And we're using the wetness of the paint to make that happen. Don't even need that much. I like that very much. And the rest you don't use, just put it in a pile. And this is where you can go in, you can add various other things. You could go ahead and make some more leaves out of your paper and put it on the floor. For now, this feels really fun to me, but I'm interested in seeing what you come up with for your fall forest. And there you have it, your very own toilet paper roll fall forest. That was really fun, and we used a lot of our imagination to create the scene. I hope you had fun too. I can't wait to see your photographs. I'll see you next time.